don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
Well, hello, Michael. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Bill Voss with Technics, Business Development Manager in the US, and we're here to tell you about our latest introduction in turntables. It's actually a new generation of our turntable line. If you remember, in 1970, we invented direct drive. Techniques invented direct drive for turntables with the SP-10. It was brought out in the desire and need for radio stations. Of course, in that day, everything was 24/7, spinning records, and there was belt drive and idler drive turntables in the studios, and when they went down for repair or need to replace a belt or any issues, they only had one turntable to use. They were always using two, so that would never run into any issues there. And when direct drive came to them, the radio stations and engineers really embraced it, and from then on it became a very popular format, as you know. And in 1972 we introduced a SL-1200 series. The very first SL-1200 didn't look like the new model we're showing you today, but in its first iteration it was more affordable for the regular guy. The SP-10 was first introduced without a tone arm. And it was just a drop into the console and use the tone arms that they had there. And that became available in an SP-10 Mark II and an SP-10 Mark III. And then in about 1975, quartz lock came out. And if you remember, quartz lock was kind of ubiquitous in Japanese turntables everywhere, and eventually became the common system to govern the accuracy of speed. So that was like the second generation of direct drive. And the third generation was when we came back in 2015, actually 2016, with the SL-1200GRAE Special Edition, which you reviewed on your channel way back when. And that was because we took the very best of all that direct drive capability, and we actually improved it with a coreless system with digital PWM control of the motor. So it was took the iron core out of the drive system, reduced the micro vibrations, or things known as cogging. So we got the very best out of our turntables now in direct drive when we brought them back. At the time we brought that coreless direct drive back at $4,000. I think the only other coreless direct drive turntable in the market was like $40,000. So everyone just really very excited to know in the audiophile world. Disappointed the DJ world a little bit, but we fixed that a few years later. But so that would be considered our third generation. This, what we're going to show you today, we're bringing this fourth generation of direct drive to you. And we're doing it, and not from the very top of the line model, but we're bringing it to the middle of the line. And it's called the SL-1200GR2. And it's available in silver or black. And it's $21.99 suggested retail price. So it's a little more expensive than the current GR model, which is an award-winning turntable. And what we've set out to do, as we've told everyone when we came out with the G series and that third generation, we actually found a way to improve on it. We pretty much thought we had everything licked with removing the cogging and already having elevated the specifications at incredible levels. You couldn't even measure these turntables any better for wow and flutter or any better for rumble. But it's what they found through a lot of engineering as far as removing even more micro vibrations with a special, what we call a delta sigma drive system. So there's two parts to this. One is the drive system, which affects the motor, which helps, it works in a digital environment where we already working in that digital environment, they're using this delta sigma drive to remove even more micro vibrations from it. And the other part of it is we've improved the power supply. So it's using a digital power supply, which we shared and used and tried and tested in our R1000 turntable, and to remove noise from the power supply. So you have the very best of the quietude to enjoy everything that's on a vinyl record and to improve on what we did already, but believe it or not, there is an improvement. And the differences come when we listen in the areas where that low frequency resonance test would come, very, very clean, quiet area around that 7 to 14 hertz. And I think you'll hear an amazing improvement around 3,000 hertz, where a lot of these tests are done where the sound just kind of pops out for you. You heard that demonstration a minute ago. I don't know if you were impressed or not, but one of the best sounds I've heard that record, best sounding record, that sounded spectacular to me. So I'm still enjoying the sound of these. We're using an Ortofon 2M black cartridge for the presentation, so I think that we could show you some graphs and things like that, but they're not public yet. And we could also let you listen and for yourself and just hear the differences that you know what a great turntable is supposed to sound like, and the quality that we're getting here is some of the things we'd like to impress on you. But I'll tell you a little bit more about the this delta sigma drive, and delta sigma term is coined from the design of changing analog to digital in systems. It's always been part of the digital architecture. So what we're doing is we're adding that to the highly reliable coreless drive system we already have to reduce micro vibrations at the platter level. And we have more access and more control over the motor drive. Someday, maybe this will trickle down to a 1500, I don't know. You know, this technology, we often do that with our very best products. We trickle down the technology into, like we do in this amplifier and in this CD player. But at the moment, we brought it out in the 1200 because we wanted to have it in the mid part of the line. And so it still has that experience where some audiophiles wouldn't need the strobe, wouldn't need the, you know, the pitch control or the strobe etchings or the light on there. But we kept it on this turntable, and you know, we're very happy with the performance of it. And to actually improve that is something I think we really have succeeded at. And in this price range, you know, it lends itself to a lot of tweakability. If you're a kind of guy that likes to change the footers or change the cables, change the RCA cables, the ground wires, the AC cords, very easy to change cartridges. Because I'm using the 2M black, I can switch to the mono version in 5 seconds, and I can play a mono album and I'm properly. So that ease are what people really love about our turntables. And the tone arm, although this turntable looks very similar to our old turntables, and people always say, well, why are you still using that S-shaped tone arm and so on? And it's an aluminum tone arm, and it's been re-engineered from the very first turntables when we brought back the G models in 2016, excuse me. Our engineers set out to come up with the same sensitivity rating as the original EPA 100, which was a holy grail of tone arms, per se, with ruby bearings and so on. So the engineers set out to build this arm after those specifications, and they managed to get it down to the same type of sensitivity. The turntable is available in this original silver design, and if you compare it to the prior model, the GR model, we've taken some subtle cues off. We kind of put more silver look to it, and the black model is called the SL-1200GR2. That model has all black. The tone arm is black as well. Still aluminum, but it's black, and we put Technics logo on the head shell now. And there's a dust cover with the famous bulge on top to allow for the VTA. Yeah. And it's a hinge dust cover. We take it off for demonstration, and the footers are all adjustable, and it weighs about 30 pounds and easily accessible. I don't know if we ever get into that in some of the other presentations. I can show you underneath the hood a little bit. This is something we don't really, oh boy. I like to take these apart. Actually, I don't need to take this off to show you, but I will take this off because with the finger, the thumb.
Take it all off.
The thumb holes. This allow us, what is that, Aquavelva? The braking, I can just slow or fast braking, and I can adjust the torque for low or high torque. And all you have to do is put a little screwdriver in there and just click, 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 and the lights will blink back to you and show you, confirm the settings. So this has been in the 1200GR and in the 1200G. The GAE have all had these settings underneath the platter. We don't get to take these off very often, but it's nice to show you this. It's also possible to do a firmware update if we needed to, or a service
And
update.
how would you describe the sound differences between low and high torque?
You've kind of did some explanation about that with the SL-1000, I think,
did.
when you had that, and you kind of said, well, you can play to your heart's content, but basically just enjoy the sound. I think that's what I would have to say. I've adjusted the differences, and it's so subtle that I don't know.
Yep.
I would leave everything at factory settings, or on the G model, there's an automatic setting. But nothing's really different on compared to a GR as far as the rest of the build.
Same platter?
It's the same platter. It's same.
So really it's the drive system.
The drive system that controls the motor and the power supply.
Yeah.
All the build quality is, 2-layer plinth, 2-layer platter. No to alleviate the ringing, and it's a 2-part motor. It's a single rotor, where the G model would have a twin rotor. So this motor and platter become one when you put them together.
Just a brief interruption, esteemed viewers. As you may know, I'm Tom Martin, Chief Content Officer of The Absolute Sound. We have a new product. It's on the Substack platform, and we're going to do some interesting things with Substack. First of which is reader questions and answers. Each Monday, readers will submit questions. We'll pick the most interesting ones and we'll answer the questions on Friday. We'll also have early access to articles and special blogs that don't appear anywhere else. We hope you'll join us. It's only a cost of a cup of coffee per month. Just check on the screen or in the show notes below. Thanks, and now back to the show.
So as I say, those settings, you don't really need to take the platter off to set those settings. You can just reach through the thumb holes.
Tweak to your heart's content.
Yeah. Thank you. And there's from some companies, like if you remember, SME used to make a dampening trowel with silicone for their arms. Yep. You can actually buy a damper trowel for that if you want to soften the sound, if you like that. Yeah, KAB makes some aftermarket materials, and you can change the mats. Our engineers listen to like 35 different mats, and they conclude this is still the best.
It's amazing what difference it makes.
There are differences, there's no question. You can hear differences, and if you use a record weight, I didn't bring any weights. By the way, we're listening completely stock. There's Technics cables, Technics AC cord, Technics RCAs that come with it. The only thing that we're adding is the Ortofon cartridge.
And so do they recommend using a light?
You could use a record weight as long as it's under 2 pounds with
Right.
any of our new models. That's what they say. Okay. They don't necessarily recommend
And the
it.
footers are the same ones? Or
Well, there's a difference between a G model and a GR series.
Right.
So these are metal, they're not zinc like the GR. The G has zinc, but these are all adjustable, and they're horizontal and vertical adjustments for audiophiles to appreciate that, and 33, 45, 78. And the quick start and quick stop, you can file your nails on here, of course. And if you watch that strobe, it takes quite a bit of effort to slow it down. Not that I recommend filing your nails, but
don't.
just what it's great to know when I have that type of drive system behind my listening is I know that it's just impervious to any kind of fluctuations and things. It's just a great feeling.
Stylus drag has a big effect on the sound of records.
I think if you had it could handle, I think the one quote was that it could handle 2,000 2-gram tone arms playing at once. That's kind of.
Let's try it.
I read that somewhere. I wish we could try that. Yeah. And you have the pitch fader allows us to vary the speed ±8 or ±2 times that, ±16.
You can get that original kind of blue to play at the right speed.
You can get it to play right.
Beggar's Banquet to play at the right speed.
And the VTA adjustment is on. We don't really want to call it on the fly. You got to be really good to do it on the fly, but it lets you adjust it. And one other thing that we've done, even with the VTA, some users asked us to include a cartridge spacer. So this model will come with a cartridge spacer, and it'll give you a little height. So if you needed more height with the cartridge, it comes with a spacer now. So, and it's a funny thing. I should have kept the box here. Maybe we'll pull the box out. Dan, if you want to get the box. We're actually, being part of Panasonic, we're a very green manufacturer. We're trying to be the greenest electronics manufacturer. We've changed all the packing to remove all the styrofoam and things like that. So it's all cardboard packaging now. And what's nice, if you remember when you receive our turntables, all the parts are in the styrofoam and they're easily lost.
Yes.
It's now in a special parts box.
That's good.
And it allows you to set up the turntable in the box to put in the platter and things like that. So some new little things that, that we've done to try to continue on our story. And
you would say, since the reintroduction of the 1200, it's been a very successful product.
absolutely, it's an incredible series of turntables, and we make the 1200 in the GR series, now the GR2 series with us updates, and the G series, all available in silver or black. And we've trickled down the essentials of this with a single rotor system into the 1500C and into the 100C. And the 1500C is available in silver, black, and white. You know about the white one now.
Yep.
And the 100C is, again, we removed the phono preamp from that, a very simplified version. And so it's quite a story between them. And again, all appreciating the benefits of coreless drive, and this model appreciating the benefits of the new motor drive system, the Delta Sigma system, and the.
Is this shipping now, or is it?
We're
soon?
shipping at the late November. It should be in dealers by December, and it's we're a little bit behind the Europe launch. They'll be getting it in stores in
So it'll be
early.
a Christmas present.
Yeah, it will. It'll be a nice Christmas present for people, and timing will be right for that. And
I wanted to take a quick look at the green box, all cardboard, and so this is a big improvement too. You know, one of the things some people don't appreciate is when you buy a product, you're also paying for the box quality and for the fact that it can be shipped and drop shipped without breaking.
this is what I like about this. The styrofoam doesn't break. So all your accessories will be here. There's an extra cartridge weight, tone arm weight if you have a heavier cartridge. This is the gauge I referred to.
As opposed to this being like packing taped into the styrofoam,
Yes.
where people would throw the styrofoam
Yes,
in.
and lose these parts. So
What
this,
percentage of people did that? Do you have a-
surprisingly, very, very few. With all the turntables we sell, I'm amazed that we don't have people.
Because you can't really use the turntable without a counterweight. So if you throw it out, you realize pretty quickly.
They go find the stuff real fast once they
Exactly.
realize that. But this is a nice feature that we have now, and
Yeah, it's much nicer.
and I think it'll make. If you ship these around the country like I do, it'll last a little bit longer. The dust cover is packed nicely in here as well. And the platter goes on the bottom. But
The idea is to keep your boxes.
yeah, if you
If you
can.
have a place in your attic or in your basement,
Thank you, Dan.
it's good to keep the boxes just for a variety of reasons. Okay, we've covered it from the box, from the inside out, and the packing, and the turntable, and the history. I think we've covered it all.